mynews.studio.
In India, billions quietly move each year from household pockets into charity. But here's the question. Why aren't global philanthropists paying attention to how everyday families are doing this?
Today is March 1st, 2026. The new Ashoka University report really stands out. Indian households, so not just corporations or high-profile donors, are giving nearly $6 billion a year to charity. That's actually about a third of all private donations to the organized social sector in India.
And it's not just the wealthy giving, right? The study involved over 7,000 interviews across 20 states. Turns out, 68% of Indian households from all income brackets are contributing.
Right, exactly. This is really a grassroots phenomenon. But what's interesting is, where's the money actually going? The report says that 40 to 45% is directed to religious organizations. Another large portion goes straight to people in need, like beggars or destitute folks, especially in cities.
It stands out that so much giving happens face to face. The most common approach is still someone asking in person, whether at home, a temple, or just out in public. There's a lot of trust and a sense of immediacy in those exchanges.
Does this change how we should think about philanthropy, though? Traditionally, the story is that big foundations or wealthy donors drive social change. But here, it almost feels flipped.
It really does challenge the top-down model. When so many people are involved, even with smaller, regular contributions, the overall effect is wide-reaching and local. The researchers actually call it a quieter colossus. Not showy, but huge in overall impact.
And the motivation is different, too. It's not about tax deductions or black-tie charity events. Instead, it's tied to culture, a sense of duty, and trust, mainly in community and religious networks.
That's key. Almost half goes to religious institutions, and another big share is direct aid. People seem to trust those they know or meet face-to-face, rather than just formal NGOs. The report points out that about a quarter of all giving is prompted by someone asking in person.
So if other countries wanted to try something similar, where would they even begin? Is it possible to build this level of trust and participation somewhere else?
The researchers suggest starting by mapping household giving patterns and identifying local trust institutions. It might not always be religious groups. Then, they recommend combining those with digital or community campaigns. But you can't just copy what's happening in India. You have to ask, who do people trust with their resources? Where are the gaps in social safety nets? And how does local culture shape giving?
Is there a risk, though, that by formalizing this, say, channeling it all through NGOs or tech platforms, you might actually lose the trust that makes it work in the first place?
That's a concern the report raises. They talk about a hybrid approach, increasing flows to NGOs, but without disrupting informal trust networks. So, you might use technology to make giving easier, but you keep that community connection at the center.
All around the world, this really questions the idea that only wealthy people or big organizations drive change. Here, ordinary people, by the millions, are shaping society from the ground up.
And it's a reminder that development doesn't just come from large projects. Sometimes it starts with small acts, repeated millions of times. For NGOs and policymakers, the lesson isn't just to look up at major donors, but also to look around at those giving quietly every single day.
If we want stronger social safety nets, maybe the answer isn't waiting for big donations, but helping everyday people become changemakers themselves.
That's the big story from India. Billions giving quietly, possibly a model for others to learn from.
Thanks for joining us as we explored how ordinary households are driving a shift in philanthropy.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it out for free.